So college football is top of mind in Michigan right now. The Wolverines are kicking off their season on Saturday. I'm rooting for Notre Dame this season, but people in Michigan rooting for Michigan State, Michigan Wolverines, and voters there are also taking some time, at least this summer, to weigh in on the state of the presidential race. To talk about that side of Michigan in the industrial Midwest, we have Jake Rosen with us, who is in Ann Arbor, home of the University of Michigan. Jake, great to see you. Looks like you're in a swamp, so we can keep this brief so you can stay safe out there with all the mosquitoes. What are you hearing from the college students you're talking to?
Hey, Bob, thank you for having me. As you know, the war in Gaza has been a critical issue for Democratic and Democratic-leaning voters, not in a state like Michigan, not just in a state like Michigan that has tons of people who are concerned about this and colleges, but also all across the country. And when we spoke with voters in the Detroit metro area this week, here's what they had to say.
You know, a lot of people have been hurt over the past year in Gaza, and she hasn't done a lot to recognize that.
I live in a community filled with a bunch of Arabs and Muslims, and we all feel the same way because what's happening back in Palestine. We all think we need a ceasefire, and then really, some politics say they're going to help make a change, but we haven't seen anything so far.
I think the change in the Democratic presidential candidate is really encouraging. I'm really excited about it. So I'm feeling a lot different about this election than I was a couple weeks ago.
And like you heard, Bob, some of those supporters who are likely to lean Democratic are just not satisfied with the position of the Biden and now Harris campaign on those issues. We spoke to another voter, however, who said that the change at the top of the ticket was welcome in order to stop Donald Trump from winning the presidency.
I don't want to abstain from voting entirely because if Trump gets elected, then it feels very much like something that I could have had a part in preventing. And so yeah, I just don't think that I have a choice, really.
So, Bob, we'll have to see exactly what happens with these young voters, but a campus like here in Ann Arbor and University of Michigan, Michigan State, and Wayne State University in Detroit are going to be critical. What happens when students return to campus like they did just here this week in terms of protests and how those students activate and vote come November?
It's so interesting, Jake. When I talk to people close to the Harris campaign, they're hoping for a ceasefire deal will somehow assure some of those voters you spoke with that Vice President Harris is on the same page with them. They hoped her speech at the convention did some of that. But there is an intriguing part of this conversation about the youth vote that's out there. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the Trump campaign believes his endorsement is going to be helpful for voters out there, maybe younger voters who feel like they want an outsider to be on top of the ticket. How are you seeing the RFK endorsement playing in Michigan?
Well, that's right. Just like you said, the Trump campaign touted Kennedy's support for them and endorsement as a boost to their campaign. But one drawback to that here and in neighboring Wisconsin is that it is too late for RFK to get off the ballot here. So even those people who are on the fence or were supporting him can still cast a protest vote. Now, listen to one supporter who said that he was going to switch to support Donald Trump instead of supporting Robert F. Kennedy.
He's supporting Trump, so it's like I'm going to have to, go with Trump, I guess.
And when asked why exactly he was going to switch his support, here's what that voter had to say.
I just gravitate towards Trump a little more. I don't know why. It's just like an energy thing, Sure. Yeah.
He's very confident, right?
Very confident.
And as we know, this is a critical part of the population that Donald Trump is aiming to court. Those people who are not trustful of the government, maybe because of COVID, maybe because of other issues. But the Harris campaign, as you pointed out earlier, in contrast to the Trump campaign, says that the RFK endorsement will not make a difference in these states. However, I think in a state like Michigan and Wisconsin, it's certainly notable that it is too late for RFK to get his name off the ballot.
And Jake, it is notable that the Harris campaign made their own statement reaching out to RFK Jr.'s supporters in the wake of him deciding to make this endorsement. We'll see what happens. Jake Rosen on the ground in Michigan. We appreciate you and your reporting.